So much great feedback on my last couple of ADV bikes for beginners videos, but a few of you asked, and rightfully so, why it's only new bikes on those lists. Why do I never recommend used bikes? No, it's not because I'm now a hoity-toity influencer and I sort of forgot that used bikes exist. I actually do have a few very specific reasons for leaning towards recommending new bikes for new riders. Before we jump in, I just want to say thanks to Double Take Mirrors for sponsoring this video and the channel. I'll put up the comment that inspired this video, but a common question I see on those videos and often all the time is, why are you not recommending used bikes for new riders? And it's a valid question. There are a ton of reasons why it makes sense to shop used when you're looking for a dual sport or adventure motorcycle. One, they're cheaper, obviously. Two, you can get a lot of mods installed on the bike and get them basically for free. Despite what some people who are putting their bikes up for sale on Marketplace think, mods do not increase the value of your bike. They make it more appealing, they make your sale easier, but you don't add the value of the mods to the value on Blue Book of your bike. If you want to get the value out of your mods, you need to take them off. That's a digression, but the point is you can get a gently used bike with that $2,000 worth of mods, and you're going to pay less than you would for a new one with no mods. That's true. New bikes lose value the second you take them off the lot. Used ones can be resold for a minimal loss, another advantage of used bikes. On the used market, there is a much wider variety of models and years than you'll ever find at a dealership, and the last reason why buying used is so much better is negotiation. It's way more possible on used bikes. Dealers don't like to negotiate. They don't even like to negotiate on their used bikes, but they really don't like to bring down the price below MSRP on new bikes because the margins are so thin, unless they've been sitting for a while or there's a manufacturer incentive or whatever. It's harder to get them to negotiate versus when you go to a guy with cash in hand and say, hey, can you knock $500 off that? A lot more times they're going to say yes. All of these things are true and frankly very compelling reasons to avoid buying a new motorcycle. But these arguments miss one important thing that should be obvious given the titles of the videos that they're commenting on. I'm not recommending bikes to people who with experience buying and selling motorcycles. Many of the people who watch my content are buying their very first motorcycle. Yes, buying used makes a ton of sense for someone with motorcycle experience and motorcycle buying experience, but to a first-timer, there are a lot of moving parts there. Experienced riders often forget what it was like to be new. I see it all the time. Because of that, I try very hard to remember exactly what it felt like when I started this whole adventure riding thing. Let's hop in the old Dork time machine so I can tell you what I mean. Meet 37-year-old Ben. 37-year-old Ben has limited motorcycle experience. He got his endorsement at 17, took a class at 17, and barely rode a motorcycle in the 20 years between that and age 37. And I had never actually owned a motorcycle. Number two, I had extremely limited mechanical ability and almost zero mechanical confidence. I felt like a rocket scientist when I managed to install an AC unit in my apartment window, and that's 2 screws and a plug-in. I had some car buying experience, but in hindsight, I was really bad at it. I had almost no knowledge or experience of motorcycle modifications. I had no idea what was good or bad. I had no idea what I needed. I had no idea what I was even supposed to know whether or not I needed. I knew nothing. I didn't have any friends who were riders. Duckfan got his Ducati about a month before I got my 500F. That's it. That's my only friend who rode at the time. There was nobody to go with me to assess the condition or value of used bikes. Also, and this sounds like I'm tooting my own horn a little, but bear with me, Dork in the Road did not exist. I created this channel because I had to figure all this crap out on my own because I couldn't find anyone making videos with the information I needed. There wasn't really anyone super focused on helping new riders make their way into the world of ADV. I watched Everride, loved what I saw, and knew I wanted to do that, but there wasn't really a guide to help me identify how to actually get from where I was to where I wanted to be. So 37-year-old Ben was looking at motorcycle ads on Craigslist because Marketplace wasn't really a thing there, and was mostly focused on price and if the bike looked clean. I would not have known how to spot an oil leak, assess tire and fluid condition, identify potential maintenance deficiencies, or even spot painfully obvious stuff like a cracked frame or swing arm. I couldn't tell the difference between a well-maintained dirty bike and a freshly washed lemon. I'd have gone for the lemon. I didn't know the difference between a CRF and a CBR. I avoided the CB500X because the seat was, quote, too tall. It's 32 inches. I've owned bikes, seat height's 37 inches. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I recognize that not every new rider is the same as I was, but I was kind of the worst case scenario, and my philosophy has always been that if I share enough info to help a total idiot like I was get started safely, then people with more knowledge are probably covered too. Old Dork may have been an ignoramus, but even he could have seen how much of an upgrade double take mirrors are. I have owned 20 plus motorcycles over the last decade, and I've put double takes on every single one of them. Double take mirrors are infinitely adjustable, practically indestructible, and shockingly affordable. Double takes have a bunch of advantages. One, they're infinitely adjustable. They work with riders of all shapes and sizes. I'm a wide person, so generally when I get on a stock bike, I see my elbows and the sides of my gut in the side mirrors. With double takes, I get extended range, and I can put those mirrors exactly where I want them to see exactly what I want to see. Double take mirrors bend, but they don't break. Off-road riding involves dropping your bike occasionally, or more than occasionally for some of us. Stock mirrors either break because they don't flex at all, or they get knocked loose, requiring a pair of crescent wrenches to fix them. Double takes just take the hit and move out of the way, and then it takes seconds to put them back in place after you fall off your bike. Double takes are there when you need them, folded away when you don't. Dual sports have to be ridden on the highway and on tight trails. With double takes, you can have maximum visibility on the road and minimum width by folding your mirrors in when you leave it. Whether you're already rocking the Gen 1 double take mirrors and want to upgrade to the new double take manufacturer lifetime guaranteed redesigned arms and uncrushable balls, or you are just looking to replace your stock mirrors with something better in every single way, double take mirrors are the way to go. Every double take kit comes with a selection of mounting bolts and options, meaning you can move your mirrors from bike to bike to bike even as you upgrade. Buy once, cry once, and with a lifetime guarantee, you know those double take mirrors will work for years to come. So with stupid old Dork in mind, here's why I spend more time recommending new bikes than I do used bikes. One, consistency. Every new Honda CRF 300L is the same. Every used Honda CRF 300L is different. It is difficult for me to recommend something I can't be sure of in good conscience. Two is selection. This is more about me as a creator than it is for the new bike buyer, but if I'm recommending stuff, I want it to be something that's readily available. I can't predict what used bikes will be for sale near you, but I can reasonably surmise that your local dealership is going to have most of the new models available. I can also predict the price of a new bike and make recommendations accordingly. I cannot predict what used bikes are going for. It fluctuates all over the country. Dual sports are way overpriced here in the Pacific Northwest, as an example, while they are a dime a dozen in other areas. Another reason I lean towards new bikes is reliability and warranty support. New riders are also new mechanics. Like I couldn't, they can't identify potential issues on a used bike and probably don't know how to fix those issues if they crop up. New bikes have warranties. If you have an issue, the dealership will fix it. I want people to get out and riding as quickly and as easily as possible, not saddle them with a puzzle they have to solve first, or encourage them to go 80 miles an hour on a bike with brake fluid from the MySpace days. To be clear, I'm referring to factory warranties, which are included for free. Do not buy an extended warranty if you buy a new bike. You're better off putting the money you would have spent on that in a savings account to use for repairs. That way you have money to fix stuff, but if nothing breaks, you get to keep your money, unlike with an extended warranty. Number 4 reason I recommend new bikes is selection and cross-shoppability. At a dealership, you can look at and sit on a ton of different models. You can compare them to one another in real time. You just can't do that driving out to BFE to look at the KLR 250 Buford has had in his barn since high school. New riders don't know what they want or need. It is better to start with a blank slate than saddle yourself with extra power mods that you can't handle or that make the bike super finicky, or super heavy protection mods that make it harder for you to ride. You aren't saving money on used bike mods if you never would have wanted those things in the first place. That stuff, those mods, those additions add mechanical complexity and potential failure points. Did Buford use Loctite, or are your levers going to start flopping around on the freeway? No way to know. Also, and this is kind of a side note, but adding these mods is how I started gaining mechanical confidence. Learning to wrench is easier if you start with low consequence, low complexity tasks like adding handguards. So there's an advantage to adding those things yourself. Number 6, one-stop shopping. I'm treading carefully here because I'm not saying that financing through a dealership is the best idea or even a good idea, but it is very convenient to be able to take care of all of that stuff at the same place without having to secure separate financing beforehand or saving up to pay cash. Many banks won't do loans on bikes beyond a certain age, which makes buying used even harder if you don't have savings. And yes, obviously you should pay cash and not finance if you can avoid it. Yes, you should wait and save up rather than going into debt to get something now. You should, but the reality is that's not realistic for everyone, and obviously not what the majority of people do, and we're all about being realistic here at Dork in the Road. If you have some mechanical aptitude or an experienced friend to take along to look at used bikes and you have cash on hand, then you absolutely should try and find a well-maintained used bike with tasteful mods that you can buy for cheaper than what the dealership would charge you. If you're looking for a late model bike though, well, in my experience, the used ones aren't a ton cheaper and they don't always have a warranty, so it's worth shopping around to see if you can find a good deal on a new one. one. Buying used from a dealership is another way to think about going, because you can sometimes get them to run the bike through their service department before you buy it, or they have already done so. That way you get the benefits of selection and financing without taking as much risk of buying a lemon. Having said that, there are some shady dealerships out there that will gladly sell you a lemon without hesitation, so it still helps to have someone you trust look over the bike or have your own mechanic check it out first if you can. Once you've got some experience, you should absolutely chase those smoking deals on Marketplace. For your first bike though, well, it sure is nice to know the damn thing is just gonna work. So yeah, I'm not saying don't buy used. I'm just saying there are advantages of buying new, and it's definitely not something you should rule out. As a content creator, I need to make sure my recommendations apply to everyone equally and make getting into riding as easy as possible, and that means recommending the most consistently available bikes that I can guarantee will be good and reliable, and that is mostly new bikes. I'm curious though, would you be interested in a video or two about recommended used bikes? What about a video talking about how to buy a bike at a dealership? I've picked up a few things over the last few years that 37-year-old Dork definitely did not know. Would it be helpful to share? Thank you again to Double Take for sponsoring this video, and thank you to all of you for watching. I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!